When a person goes through rape at a very young age, they tend to disassociate. That is one of the blessings that a young child, it's a natural thing that takes place for their survival. I was raped repeatedly, for sure between the ages of 3 and 4. But due to the scar tissue, it's possible that it started at the age of 2. For the most part, I was a happy kid. I was an overachiever. I kind of was the leader of my siblings, even though I was the youngest. One of the many times that I was abused during that same period of time, my mother left for summer school so that she could study to be a teacher. And during the summer, she would be gone all week long and would come home on the weekend to do the laundry. And during that week period of time when she was gone, my sister, who was 7 years older than me, was the woman of the family and in charge. What I learned is how she dealt with my dad's abuse is when he would come after her, she'd run away. So she could avoid him by running. My sister, who was 3 years older than me, she would wet the bed. And he didn't want to deal with somebody wetting on him. And so I, as the 3-year-old, was the easiest target for him to rape. And so he would rape me in a large bed. In the bedroom where I shared with my brother, he was, like I said, 14 months older than I. He was in a crib. And so my brother would have been in the room when I was being raped. So my sister, who's 7 years older, remembers hearing me cry and cry and cry and cry. And she was in a room in the basement. And she remembers finally coming upstairs to comfort me. So my dad would rape me with any other sibling in the room. And my 3-year-old sister, all the blankets that should have been on me were on her. So she was under all the blankets. And I was on a bed freezing, shivering, and crying. And so my older sister came up, saw that, and was comforting me and went to get the blankets and put them on me. And my dad yelled at her from his room, "Leave it alone." So as I'm crying and in pain, my older sister, not knowing what to do since she wasn't allowed to put warm blankets on me, crawled in bed next to me and tried to keep me warm with her own body. That's a memory that she told me. So this was the evenings for me as a child. This was what my nights were like. As a child, though, since I don't, those were memories told to me by my siblings. I just remember the big bed that I was in and how I cried a lot at night and how the monsters would come. But one of the blessings is the ability to disassociate. There are some people that look at disassociation as a mental illness. And when I discovered what happened to me, I do not see it as a mental illness. I see it as a protection. How could I have survived had I remembered what happened to me as a child? Since I didn't remember, since I didn't know, since I disassociated, I was able to live a pretty darn happy childhood. I knew that school was safe and home was not. So I became very involved with school. And, anything that needed a volunteer, any exciting, fun thing that I might be able to try to get me out of the house, I was there. With that, I got some really good experiences. I met safe people. I had a hoot. I had a lot of fun. Many happy memories. And so if you are going to counseling and you're hearing anything other than that, if you're hearing, oh, there's something wrong with you because, find another counselor because your body did what it needed to do to survive, and your brain did what it needed to do to survive. And not just survive. If you're disassociating, there's periods in your life where you don't remember anything bad that happened, and everything's good. And life is good, and you deserve a good life. My own son looked a lot like me as a baby. When he turned 2, I started getting really sad, and I didn't know why. My body started doing weird things. I started getting discharge that I didn't know where it came from. I would bloat out, and I didn't understand why. I wasn't eating anything different. And so I went to a medical doctor because my gut was doing these weird things. And the sadness, and I didn't understand that. And so I was examined, and she said, we don't know what's wrong, but we're going to call it irritable bowel syndrome. And I asked her what that was, and she goes, well, that's what we say when we don't know why you're experiencing these things. But she said, but it also could be psychological. It wasn't just the physical symptoms. I also was getting weird flashbacks of things that I didn't understand. Memories that were just snatches. So there would be body memories of pain, and then there would be memories of things that I thought, well, was that a bad dream? I thought that was a bad dream. These bad dreams were coming back to me. And so I started calling up my siblings and asking them about, do you remember this happening? And they would say, oh yeah, I remember that happening. I remember that. I remember that. For whatever amazing reason, I was able to compartmentalize and actually contact my dad about it. So I talked to him on the phone and told him these stories with not accusing, just tell him childhood stories. And when I got to the place of me being on the bed and my brother or sister or whatever being in the room, and I'm just telling him these facts, he said, oh yeah, everything you remembered happened. But it wasn't me, it was the alcohol. So I actually got my dad to admit that he raped me repeatedly as a child, and he had no remorse. I then was able to talk to my mom about this. My mom admitted, oh no, he did it when he wasn't drinking. And I asked her, well, if you knew that he was raping me, why didn't you stop him? And her response was, oh, well, it would have gotten worse. And again, I'm thinking, worse for who? Worse for who? It couldn't have gotten worse for me.
Aubrey's 4 years old, Toby is 15 months old. Chris is, 39 years old.
I have been so blessed because I married Chris and we have 2 healthy children, which is amazing in itself because of all the scar tissue I've got. That was the final healing that I needed, the final visualization, is that I wanted to see the scar tissue. Because how I knew I had scar tissue is through the years, like when I went in to get fitted for birth control. The doctor got this really sad look on her face. They'd ask me, did anything happen to you when you were a child? And I'd go, well, no, because I didn't remember. But people would ask me that, and it wasn't until I finally asked a doctor, what are you seeing down there? They are asking me that question. And I was told, you have a lot of very old scar tissue. I had a miscarriage, and when it came out, it wasn't attached to anything. And I think that's because there was so much scar tissue, there was nowhere for a placenta to attach. I wanted to see what the scar tissue looked like. So actually just a few months ago, I asked my medical doctor if I could have an ultrasound so I could see the scar tissue. There was just one side where there was like almost a scratch mark where there was area where it was healthy, and the other side was like all white. when my kids attached, they had to have attached to such a small area for the placenta to be able to be there. There was some area left that they were able to attach the placenta. And when Toby was born, the afterbirth, when they came out and looked at the placenta itself had scars on it. But yet I still had 2 healthy children born, even with all that scar tissue. So I take a look at the blessings that I've had. I've had a loving relationship with a man who loves me. I have 2 healthy children. I've been able to do the jobs that I've loved. I've been willing to put myself out there and try new things. Because why not? Why not give it a go? And I think that curiosity and that ability to be curious has allowed me to take a look honestly at my childhood, honestly ask the questions, and honestly be able to work at healing. So, yes, I was abused by my father. I was sexually raped repeatedly by my own father. But I want to say that we need to hold our men accountable. My dad was a school teacher. He knew better. He knows not to rape a child. I think we need boys and men to hear up front, don't rape children. It's audacious that we even have to say that, but we have to say that. We have to say that. Rape is beating a child from the inside. You know, somebody batters a woman on the outside and they're put in jail. But we batter women on the inside all the time. And we just don't know what to do about that in society. And it's a double standard that needs to stop. Rape is beating up a woman on the inside, and it needs to stop.